Hello and welcome to the first small group session for November. This month we will be exploring the topic of the future. Specifically in this session, seeing God now and in the future, and in the next small group session, worthiness. For this week, we actually start back at the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount is Jesus' longest recorded teaching and can be found in the 5th, 6th, and 7th chapters of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus addresses his disciples and the people. Throughout this message, Jesus takes what people knew from the law of Moses and he contrasts it with a picture of the new covenant and the future kingdom, taking the expectations from a purely legalistic approach to one of motive, love, and authenticity, more clearly defining how God expects us to interact with each other. For instance, Jesus said, "You have heard that it was said to you, those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say to you that whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment." Jesus goes on to say, "You have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart." The words of Jesus have greater authority than those of Moses, the mediator of the law of the Old Covenant. In John 1:17 we read, "For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Jesus Christ." It is precisely this grace that the Beatitudes in the Sermon on the Mount testify of. The Beatitudes are at the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount and are the statements that all start with, "Blessed are." Here, blessed implies consecrated and favored by God, which causes happiness and contentment. Those who are blessed no longer strive for other things because they are in one accord with God's will. It is striking that Jesus blesses those whom one not have expected to be blessed: the poor in spirit, those who mourn, the meek, the merciful, the peacemakers, those who are persecuted, and the verse I'd like to draw your attention to, the pure in heart. The full verse from Matthew chapter 5, verse 8 is, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." As a rule, the Bible understands the heart as the seat of the human will. Human motivations, intentions, and plans arise in the heart. Those who have a pure heart live in accordance with and are motivated by the will of God, as is illustrated in the Ten Commandments, for example. They realize living by the laws of God brings meaning to their lives, and they do not make evil plans, do not cheat, or take advantage of their neighbor, or attempt to discredit anyone. The pure in heart desire good things for their neighbor, and even do something good for their neighbor if they can. Additionally, defining characteristics of having a pure heart mean that we are aware of God's grace, love, and support. When we have a pure heart, there isn't room for envy or resentment. A pure heart thinks what is right, loves what is good, and desires what is best. However, purity of heart does not mean that we won't sin. In 1 John 1:8, Apostle John says to believers that, "If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us." Purity is about motivation. In our pure motivation, we will still stumble and make mistakes. But because our motivation is pure, the sin hurts us more. We see more clearly what we did or said or thought wasn't right, and this realization inspires us to repentance. This beatitude says that the pure in heart will see God. We can read that Moses asked to see God's glory, but he was denied this. Man cannot see God face to face. But those who are blessed are promised by Jesus Christ that they will be able to see God. In the future kingdom of glory of God, they will have fellowship with him. However, already today we can feel God's nearness and see him through the eyes of faith when we worthily partake of the sacraments. We see and experience God in the congregation when we see faithful brothers and sisters react to the circumstances in their lives with patience, love, and endurance. We see God when we, with maturing faith and understanding, can reflect and see his presence and provision over the course of our lives. Having not just an assumption that God has been with us, but the knowledge based on true experience that God has been with us in the past gives us the confidence that God is with us now and that he is shaping us and calling us into a marvelous future with him. A future where those with pure heart, a heart that is living in accordance with God's will, can see God.